Hello and welcome to our tutorial here on a Tuesday on Digital DJ Tips. If you're new to all of this is a live recording that you're watching, assuming you're not with us live. We cover a topic and then we have community input. It's a really valuable resource. So welcome. We're talking today about how to DJ funerals or parties, live celebration events. Someone's died and there's a gathering and someone decides, hey, we're going to have a DJ. And it's a crazy one because we certainly didn't think we would be doing this time last week. But then here in the United Kingdom and the Commonwealth, the Queen died, and it is literally the only thing that's on TV and radio and on anyone's mind, and will be for many days. So with apologies to everyone who might be outside of those areas and who doesn't give a monkeys about that, but it's a big thing where we are. But the point is, it got us in the community talking about something we didn't think we'd be talking about, and that is, some of these events have DJs. Especially if the person who's died was a big music fan, maybe they wanted a party, a celebration party, following their death and following their funeral, and this is all part of the plan. And as DJs, we might get asked to do that. We might get asked to play music at those events. So today we're going to be talking about that. If you've got something like this coming up, or you're asked to do it, or you think it would be a nice fitting tribute to someone or whatever, it's a strange one, but like I say, these are strange times, at least they are for us in Great Britain and the Commonwealth. So that's our subject for today. I'm sure some of you will have played live celebration events. I'm also sure that some of you will have stories from them that you want to share. So today is all about you doing that with us. But to start with, well, let's do the tuition side of things, because we have got some tuition ready for you. We've got stuff that we will be talking about here that has been planned, because we like to plan stuff. So we're going to cut over now to an article that is on the Digital DJ Tips website, which you can go and see at the time of recording this. It's right there at the top of the website. But if you go to Digital DJ Tips and just type the word funeral in, because I can guarantee you that we have not got more than one article that mentions this. So hit the search bar whenever you're watching this at whatever time, type funeral in and you should see, here we go. There's a few articles that mention it, but this is the one that you want, how to DJ a funeral or live celebration. And so in this article we've assembled basically a lot of stuff which you guys and girls in our community and our students have been talking about across on our socials this week when this topic came up, and we've turned it into an article that's it's going to help you if you're due to play something like this. So let me give you a bit of the picture of what it's like here at the moment. We have seen the death of someone who we all have had with us our whole lives, right? There's very few people actively DJing who will not have had a time when the Queen of England was, or the Queen of Great Britain was there doing her thing. So it's a very strange time, and also it's a very distinctive time musically. Every single radio station you tune into is playing what I would call somber music, laid back music. Everything from 80s power ballads and Elton John on the mainstream stations to actually some rather quite nice music on the more underground, the more shall we say musically literate stations. Places like in the UK we have a station called BBC Six Music, and they've been playing some really nice trip hop and some old slow Björk tracks and it's just stuff I haven't heard in ages. It turns out it's my favourite kind of music. I don't know what that says about me, but there's this real vibe of slowness. And that is actually the first point, or one of the points we're going to raise about when you're asked to play something like this. What kind of music do you play? What's expected? Do you have to be respectful and play somber, slow music for these events? Or are you allowed to play more upbeat and happier music? And so this is a big question that comes up and has come up again and again in the community when we've been discussing this, and we're going to cover that today as well. Now, as I said, please do share your thoughts in the chat box. You could be watching this on YouTube or on Facebook or on Twitch. Hi, Twitch people. We will read your comments out and we'll share some of your questions and thoughts at the end of today's show. So I'm going to pull my computer in a little bit closer here and share with you some of the points that were raised in the discussion that we all had. So the first one is that this is a life celebration party. Like someone close to you or to the people who've hired you has died, and it's sad, and they have had their funeral, and then afterwards everyone goes off somewhere else. We're not talking about like the music you play in the in the service, we're talking about afterwards. So everyone goes off somewhere else, and often it's a bar, somewhere where people can drink, there's tables, people can sit down, they can reflect, and we're talking about being the DJ who's in there, in that situation, being asked to play some tunes. So the first thing I want to share with you is a point that came up again and again when we discussed this. This event is very likely to be a live celebration, not a rave, right? We're not talking lasers and flashing lights and massive PA systems and really loud music and something that goes on till 4 in the morning with all the debauchery that comes with that. It's more like the music is an accompaniment to make the event, to oil the event, to make the event hold together and feel more special for the people who are there, basically to remember and reminisce about this person that they've lost. So we're not needing to bring all our lights, we're not needing to bring our massive PA systems here, and we're probably not expected to play the kind of later night sets that we're used to. This is more likely to be a daytime or early evening kind of event, and it's lower key. So we'll talk about the music in a minute. It doesn't mean the music has to be low key, but certainly you're not going to want to be blasting everyone so they can't talk to each other, because that's why they're there. Just like any event, happy or sad, wedding, birthday, funeral, a lot of these people haven't seen each other for a while. So doubly important to remember that they want to chat and they want to catch up, and your job is to kind of facilitate that with apt music, not to drown them out or make it harder for them to do that. The second point we want to make is that we've already touched on it. You don't have to play all slow songs at these events. You don't have to copy the radio. If you're watching this live, by the way, it's currently the 13th of September 2022. Just get the global radio player wherever you are and dial into any United Kingdom radio station and listen, just listen. That's the kind of thing that they play on the radio. It's very somber and low, and there's no jingles, there's no adverts, it's just somber music and soft talking. You don't have to do that. A mixture of slower songs, mid-range songs, more happier songs is what's called for here. It's that mix, and the point is we're going to think about that music with regards to the person who's died and whose live celebration this is, which we're going to move on to now. So talking about the music, you do have to vet every single song that you play very, very carefully. I mean, you'd be a very, very brave DJ to play Another One Bites the Dust by Queen anywhere at the moment in the United Kingdom. That's plain obvious. But there's other more subtle songs that can trip you up. So let's say this person was an 80s music fan, and they loved 80s electronic music. You might dig out some Pet Shop Boys and put West End Girls on because it's their, biggest hit of that time. The first line, sometimes you're better off dead, right? So there's always going to be vocal trips that you need to be careful not to fall over on. So it is very important to vet your music carefully and make sure that everything you play vocally is apt and the subject matter is apt. It's not touching too many raw nerves for absolutely no reason. You don't have to be super cautious, but it's important that you bear that in mind, because there's obvious stuff that you're going to want to avoid. The next thing we want to raise here is, you should know this if you're a DJ that gets paid to take your equipment and go and play events that are important to other people. In other words, you're a mobile DJ, an event DJ, you're an entertainment company. But it could be that you've been asked to do this because it's a family member or it's a friend, and so you're not used to playing this kind of event. So I just want to underline something that's important. This is not a chance for you to educate other people. This isn't a chance for you to play music that they don't know in genres they haven't heard of. This isn't about you. This is about it's about two things. It's about the person who everyone's life is celebrated, whose life is being celebrated, and it's about the people who've come together to do that. One of the big things that mobile DJs and event DJs know is that music that they play is there to help people remember happy times and reminisce, and also to make new happy times for the future. Your job is not to play unrecognizable music. It's not to try and get people to be amazed at your mixing. It's just to get the right records played. So if there was ever a gig where it is not about you, it's playing a live celebration or playing a wake or a party, party is maybe not the right word, gathering is probably a better word, that follows a funeral, right? So just bear it in mind. And don't, you might think if the person who is, the deceased person was a massive rave fan, you might think playing hardcore rave music might be just the way, but it's not, because it's not about them, unfortunately, in that sense. They're not there. And the people who are attending, yes, some of them will be the people they used to go partying with, but there's going to be a lot of other people there as well who that isn't what they want. So just getting that mix of music broader is more important. That said, it is a good idea to ask the audience, ask the people who are going to be attending, what they want to hear and what songs remind them of this person and why. Because that way you can really personalize the music and make the music something very special to everyone there. And as soon as people know that you're playing music that has been chosen by someone in that room, or at least some of the music, then it frees you up. It kind of takes a bit of the weight off you, worrying about what to play and what might be apt and what might not be apt. Because even if the song you're playing wasn't chosen by the person who's thinking, I'm not sure if this is relevant, or I'm not sure if this is apt, they're going to then think, well, hang on, someone else has probably chosen this because I chose a song as well, right? So it's a good idea to ask everyone. It could be a WhatsApp group. It could be getting the person who booked you to ask the question in a WhatsApp group. It could just be an email. It could be just chatting to the people in the venue in the hour when everyone's arriving, when you've got some background music on, finding out the songs that were important to this person. It could be songs that someone's got a memory of with the person, or it could be songs that the wedding songs, could be songs that they just know were favourites of the deceased or whatever. And then you're going to apply your DJ filter, because we always apply our DJ filters. We don't necessarily just play everything without thinking, is it a good idea or not? But it's going to give you a very good sense of what's kind of required here. And then I'm going to end on a couple of points which are not strictly about music. Well, one of them is, but they're very important to remember, I think. And the first one is, you're going to have to be really extra specially kind to everyone who's at an event like this. Now, mobile DJs know that you can get nightmare events. You can get events where you're pestered, where people are saying, can't you just play something good? And when you've got drunk people who could become abusive and even become violent and all that. Look, you can multiply all that by 10, where the emotions are very charged at a gathering that follows someone's funeral. And so you've got to be really, really diplomatic, and you just got to remember that any criticism you get, anything that happens with you involved that you feel like is an attack on you, is not an attack on you. It's nothing to do with you. It's to do with what the people in the room are going through. And so do remember that, and don't react. Just try and deal with it even more so, be even more saintly than you normally are, because they're going to need it from you. And the final thing is, look, end on a happy song. You don't have to end on something really somber and really, like, you might think you're being respectful, but one big thing, and I think one thing to take away from all of this, is that when someone has died, of course we are sad, and of course we grieve, and of course we miss that person, and of course the closer you were to this person, you may never get over them, and it might take many years and a long time to figure it all out in your head. But that's the whole point. We've got all the time that we need to do that on our own from here on in. And this celebration of their life, this social gathering of people who loved and who were close to the person who's gone, is not a time to get all the grieving done. You don't have to play all the songs which are going to make everyone very sad. People have got time to do that, and they know they've got time to do that. This is a time for people to get together and to celebrate each other and the person that they've lost, and to try and take something good from this. If you watch on television, if you are in the United Kingdom, I know the US has kind of got wall to wall as well on this, or if you're in a Commonwealth country, we are here in Gibraltar. If you watch the television coverage of what's going on with the British royal family at the moment after the death of the Queen, you will notice very quickly that there is, yes, a lot of mourning and a lot of sadness, but there's also a lot of thankfulness and a lot of celebration, even from the people who were closest to her. Now, there's no way that the family of Queen Elizabeth II are over her death at this stage, and yet they're managing to go out in public, to smile, and to be part of the feeling around the thing that's happened. And that is what this kind of event is going to be about. It's about celebrating alongside the grieving. It's about bringing all that together And literally there's the word, together. And so as a DJ, it's a fine line to walk, but it's something that means that you could really make a difference. Now, I want to, before we go over to chat about this with everyone who's coming in, and we've got a very, very busy chat box here to talk about for the end of today's Tuesday Tips Live, I just want to share something with you. It's quite personal. I had a friend who very sadly committed suicide several years ago, very close friend, and he was a massive music fan. It's how I met him. He was a big fan of what we used to call hardcore, but it doesn't mean like heavy hardcore. It means a style of UK dance music in the early 90s. And we used to be big fans of hardcore dance music. And we used to go out and we used to drive around the country to find the best DJs playing this music we loved. He was also a big fan of local indie bands, and again, as teenagers, we used to drive around and watch gigs and collect records, and try and meet the people in the bands and stuff. It was a town that was big enough to have a great scene, but small enough where everyone could get to meet everyone. So these are two really big types of music that my friend was into. And then after we kind of like drifted apart a bit in our adult life and moved to different places and so on, he then got into like pretty heavy guitar music from the US and so on. And again, as I knew him, I knew why he was into this stuff. And at his funeral, the music actually made me, as a DJ and as a friend of this person, quite angry, because it was Celine bloody Dion, and it was utterly uncharacteristic, and he would have winced himself. And it made it even worse because we'd been asked as his friends to suggest songs that he would have liked, and we did, and it for whatever reason, and of course these things you're not apportioning blame, for whatever reason it didn't happen, but it upset me. So if you're asked to DJ at a party like this, at an event, at a gathering like this, and you've got the chance to do it properly, we've all been to funerals where the person in charge doesn't have a clue about the person that's being buried, right? We've all been there. They get the name wrong, and everyone's like, God, who told him this? You've got a chance to not be that person when it comes to doing this. You can do your research, you can talk to the people who are closest to the person, and you can get that music bang on. And in doing so, you're not only going to hopefully create nice memories that people can look back on for that day, but you're going to avoid someone else really messing it up, like the music was, in my view, messed up at the funeral of my close friend that I'm relating the story of now. So, as DJs, we've got a chance to make a bad thing good. So I'd say don't shy away from this kind of thing. It's okay to talk about it. You shouldn't feel guilty at trying to find the music to say something at times like this, and hopefully help someone to move forward, and hope a group of friends to move forward in these kinds of gigs. Right, that's enough from me. It's a very strange topic today, as you can probably tell from me. It's a weird one to talk about, but I felt it was a good time to do it. It's certainly something I can't see us doing again in a hurry. So let's grab your comments and your thoughts. I want your experiences. Have you had to play parties like this? Have you enjoyed playing events and gatherings like this? Just type them away into YouTube, Facebook or Twitch. They're all coming up live here. And I have to say, if you're on Twitch or YouTube, as soon as we go off, as soon as this stops being live, they'll disappear. But if you're on Facebook, they'll stay underneath and we can chat to you underneath. So Facebook's a good platform to be doing this on, just saying. Right, okay. Hello to all our regulars, DJ Ginormous, Mixmaster G. I'm just going to name a few of you. Ian, Javaman, Sanchez, Charlie, DJ Mark Reflection, and Paul. Hello, Paul. And Robert in the Netherlands, enjoying the wonderful weather. Scott is eager to learn new things. Well, you're in the right place. Scott Craig in Portsmouth. Hello to Papa D, who says it's hot, humid and cloudy here in Miami. It's actually very humid here in Gibraltar as well today. I went out for a short run this morning and came back absolutely dripping. It's disgusting. Hello to David and Vic, who's offering condolences for the British people, I would say. Thank you for that, Vic. Right. Guys and girls, I love you because you always find the right emotional pitch for this kind of thing, and I don't feel like I'm on my own. The first thing which has made me smile is rule number 1 from You Don't Like My Music and You Don't Like My Music says no scratching at funerals. I love it. Unless I guess you're at the funeral of a scratch DJ, maybe you could get away with that. So DJ Ginormous has come up with a better title for today's Tuesday Tips Live: How to Put the Fun into Funeral. I mean, this is solid gold stuff, people. Thank you very much. So Lou in Tampa, Florida says, I don't think it's strange celebrating my own death with a party. Why not? Music and DJing is one of my greatest loves. There we go. So we've talked about that, haven't we? There's a lot of great sad jazz music. That's true, there is. And classical music. The Ruckus, thank you. I'll pass your condolences on via this medium to everyone in the UK and the Commonwealth. The Ruckus said, well, one upbeat thing that happened is I came in enough time to hear the intro music. You do love our intro music, don't you, the Ruckus? There is a difference between a wake and a funeral. Yes, so we kind of stated that. You know, you don't tend to have a DJ in a church or in a secular place where someone is sent away, right? That tends to be afterwards. Everyone will go on somewhere else. I can only speak about the UK, but everyone will kind of go on somewhere else. Craig says, I've never DJ'd at a funeral or a wake, but could it be similar to a divorce party? Good point, Craig. And they're quite popular, aren't they, divorce parties? Charlie says, this is a great subject. Things are changing and live celebrations are as well. Thank you for helping us with this. You know, I spoke about this to my colleague here, Steve Canuetto, earlier on today. Even a generation ago, the idea of what we're talking about now would have been ridiculous, right? Because certainly here in the United Kingdom, everyone kind of keeps their emotions in and it's all dressed in black and it's all kind of like, you know, if you even smile or you're heard talking loudly anywhere near to a funeral or a wake, as they're called here, it was kind of really frowned upon. And it's changed. Even if you watched the service, I think it was in Westminster Cathedral in London for the Queen, not her funeral because it hasn't happened yet at the time of recording this, but there was a Thanksgiving service of some kind there a couple of days ago. And the people in there weren't all wearing black. Yes, some were, the people who wanted to, but there were floral dresses and there were people who'd arrived with their kids who just wanted to show their, show their appreciation for her and so on. And that's very new. And I think that is this idea of not feeling you've got to show how you feel in a set way is a very kind of new thing. And I think it's obviously a good thing. It helps people with their mental health and it helps people to be more open. And being open is generally, I think, a good thing. So the Ruckus said, I actually played at a live celebration about 2 years ago. Believe it or not, I was requested to play 90s hip hop. Well, it's great music. And it's got a lot of memories for people, of course. Another subject, why when people say, can you play some hip hop, do they tend to mean 90s hip hop? There we go. So I was taken aback when I was asked to play hip hop. I was like, really? There we go. DJ Ginormous makes a good point. Your main function at an event like this is to evoke fond memories of the departed. I agree completely there. Offside Logic makes a good point. It does depend on the individual and the family's wishes. I've been to funerals that have played non-stop 88 to 92 hardcore rave tunes, and I've been to funerals which have been quite somber. Yes, of course it does. We're trying to walk on middle ground here, but of course there's always going to be exceptions and outliers as well. So thank you for sharing that. Now I knew this had happened. People are sharing their kind of funeral songs, you know. There is, if you Google funny funeral songs, there are big lists of songs that people would say, you know, when I die, I want you to play this Highway to Hell by AC/DC. That's what I want, and that kind of thing. We're not really talking about that here, but you can Google those lists, and there are some really good ones. So I'm not surprised these things are becoming more popular. It's always evolving in a modern world, says Craig. There's often interesting music choices during the funeral service anyway, so it might as well continue afterwards. Thank you for sharing that. And again, lots of song suggestions. Please do share the song suggestions. I'm not going to read them all out, but they'll all be underneath, especially if you're sharing on Facebook, and then people can go and look at them afterwards. So Dan says, I've known in the past for DJs to play themselves out of a gig by simply being stubborn and not catering for the audience in front of them. It's not a sellout to play the right genre of music at the right occasion or event for the right audience. It's a key thing to take on board. It's a bigger distinction between being an artist DJ, a DJ producer, a genre DJ with a crowd who've come for that, and being a mobile event entertainment service where you are not the reason the crowd have come. And there we have our two big types of performing DJ, right? So you've put your thumb on that one there, Dan, perfectly. Thank you for that. It is not our intention here to say you have to be sad that the Queen of England has died. This was actually the trigger for us to talk about how DJs play at departed events. So if you're a Republican or if you're a monarchist or if you don't give a hoot either way, that's fine by us. That's not what this is about, Tomac, or anyone else who thinks that we're in some way coming down on any side of this debate about monarchy. Right, so the best thing to do, says DJ Ginormous, is to talk to the family and friends of the departed. Your goal is to put together a musical ode to the deceased so the guests can share happy memories. And there we go, that's kind of hitting the nail on the head as well there. So DJ Ginormous just adds, please be sure to smash the like button, folks. Phil is treading where few would dare today. Hey, you know, we try and do what the community is talking about. We're pretty much done. DJ Thula says, thank you very much. Very informative indeed. I want a rave, says Thomas, for my funeral. Blow the speakers. Fair play. But does your granddad and does your aunt and does your sister and does their kids? This is the uncomfortable decisions that will have to be made by a DJ playing not only at yours, because I'm not you know, I don't want to wish or tempt fate or anything like that. But, you know, this is the thing. I feel like my friend, whose music was utterly, to me, inappropriate at his death, it could be that his family couldn't face anything other than that, and you've got to respect that. So the DJ's job is to talk to everyone and try and walk that line properly. Anthony says, wow, very deep today, Phil. It's a great example of your thoughts, though. Every radio station in the United Kingdom is playing 3 days of totally different music program, acoustic remixes, live chilled recordings of Commercial House. It's very strange driving in the car, flicking through the FM dial. It really, really is. But the funny thing I found is I actually really like that music. A little story about me. Years ago, I used to play a Saturday night club where we used to play till 4, 5, 6 in the morning, you know, pretty hard dance music. But then Sundays, I'd drag myself out of bed and I'd always go and play a Sunday chill out session, more kind of like Ibiza Sunset, Cafe Del Mar style stuff. And I used to start at about 70 BPM and very, very, very slowly take the evening up to about 110, 115, just the starting tempo for the night before, really. And I loved those sets. And the radio in the UK, and the radio we're in Gibraltar, but it's all Commonwealth, it's actually very much like those Sunday nights now for me. I'm actually shazamming a lot of music, I have to say. One or two more comments then before we go. I'm just scanning to see if I can find something that is kind of along the lines of something we haven't said before. But no, I think by the look of it, we have pretty much covered it. Jordan says, I didn't necessarily DJ my granddad's wake. However, I did put together a pre-recorded mixtape full of 60s, 70s and 80s tunes, and it went down a storm. So cool. Right. So today we've been talking about the rather somber but certainly relevant at this time of recording topic of what to play at funerals and at life celebration events. If you want to comment on this, you can do so underneath the Facebook or YouTube recordings of today's show. You can ask questions as well. And if you're watching this video embedded in our blog post on the same subject, you can comment underneath and my team and I will get to you there. But meanwhile, from me, Phil, here at Digital DJ Tips, until next Tuesday, get good, get out there, make the moments, and I will see you again then for another Tuesday Tips. And by the way, you can also join me on Thursday at the same time, 3 p.m. London, 10 a.m. Eastern, when it will be our Any Questions, where you can ask anything you want about any subject and we'll do our best to help you from our studios here. But meanwhile, from your favourite DJ school, have a great week. Goodbye for now.